was Fed Chairman Warsh and his first hire a couple weeks ago, which is, I guess you could say, his top policy advisor. And the guy's name is Paul Winfrey. Now, Paul Winfrey is not just some random name. Paul Winfrey he's an economist. He worked in the previous Trump administration. He was the assistant director for domestic policy. He's a Heritage Foundation scholar, all of this stuff. Okay, big deal. But he, along with several other economists, wrote a report called Project 25, and it was a mandate for leadership. In it, his one chapter, chapter 24, explores returning to a parallel gold standard to fight inflation and boom and bust cycles created by the Fed. And of all things, he highlights gold-convertible Treasury bonds, aka Judy Shelton's idea. And he basically is saying this is a way for monetary policy to continue to have freedom not tied to a gold standard, but to establish credibility to Treasury instruments backed by gold, and that it allows both the monetary freedom and the credibility of a gold backing and redeemability in gold in the Treasury market to coexist. And the more foolish we are with our fiscal and monetary endeavors, really the higher the price of gold goes. So giving the holders of the bonds peace of mind. So could it happen? Will it happen? Then again, I don't know. I mean, I'm seeing there's a lot of people out there who are kind of going with what I'm saying. And I did an interview with Michelle last week, and I said 50-50. Ron's Basement just did a short on YouTube. Andy Schectman says 50-50 chance. Look, I don't know. I hope. It would make sense to me, because if something like this doesn't happen and we continue to go down a road of decreasing trust, of increasing fiscal irresponsibility, of not making anything, of AI kneecapping jobs, of an uneducated populace that doesn't even have the ability to pay for a flat tire or a, what's it called, a root canal, if you needed it, we have problems, and we need to bring that manufacturing back into the limelight here and not be reliant on the rest of the world for everything we need. So yeah, I know July 4th was the day she said. Could it happen? Well, crossing my fingers, man.
Pause here. What Andy just laid out is bigger than it sounds. Fed Chair Warsh's very first hire, Paul Winfrey, isn't some stuffer. He's heritage, ex-Trump White House, and he literally wrote Chapter 24 of Project 2025, the chapter mapping out a return to a parallel gold standard. Treasury bonds redeemable in gold. Judy Shelton's idea sitting one desk away from the Fed chair. Andy puts the odds at 50-50. Michelle agrees, Ron's Basement agrees, and the logic is brutal. The more reckless Washington gets with spending and printing, the higher gold runs, and the more those gold-backed bonds reassure the world that America's word still means something. Next, Andy connects this to why foreign buyers are quietly walking away from the long end of the Treasury curve, and what that exit forces Washington to do. You know, again, if the price of gold if the plan is to let gold go higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, sure, why not? It is a better form of debt because, in essence, one is based upon trust and an interest rate that, you know, is you could argue interest rates and stated levels of inflation really are not true. In other words, our metrics by which we say what inflation is and what it really is a lie. And we've talked about how gold sniffs that out. We've talked about how gold retains its purchasing power when you factor in things like inflation. We talked about how almost every asset you can think of is deflating in gold terms, inflating in dollar terms. So yes, it would cannibalize the long end of the bond market to focus on gold delivery. The front end of the bond market is already being synthetically controlled as it is. So you're talking, you know, 5, 10, 20, 30, and maybe a 50-year treasury, redeemable in gold, but gold continues to march higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. It
makes paying things back much easier. Now, every $4,000 increase in the price of gold gives the Treasury general account $1 trillion free and clear. So not only that, it helps the government, the higher the price goes, retire old debt, issue new debt denominated in gold or whatever it may be. But yes, absolutely. That's a kind of what you're speaking of is a form of, what is the word I'm looking for? Good money. It's replaced by, what's it called?
Driving out bad? Yeah. Gresham's Law?
Gresham's Law, thank you. It happened, senior moment. But that's what happens. And I think you could see that happening, and there would be no desire to hold a promise. The only difference between the two is one will have an interest rate, and maybe those interest rates are attractive to some, and others say, well, you're going to have 0 interest rate or 1% on a 50. So you can get that, or you can get the gold. And so I think there still might be a niche for both, but yeah, to your point, I think it probably would affect dramatically the interest-bearing side of the ledger.
Hold up. Sit with what Andy just laid out, because this is where it sharpens. You already know Warsh's first hire wrote the gold-convertible Treasury playbook. Now, Andy just told you the mechanics of how it would actually work, and they're staggering. Every $4,000 move in gold hands the Treasury $1 trillion, free and clear. Old debt retired, new debt issued in gold. The long end of the bond market, the part funding America's deficits, gets cannibalized because nobody wants a paper promise when they can hold the metal. That's Gresham's Law in real time. Good money driving out bad. The bond market you grew up with quietly stops existing. The last stretch is where Andy names the trigger. The specific moment this stops being theory and starts being policy, and what gold does the day it gets confirmed.
We've seen $45 billion in gold delivered to the COMEX in 5 months. And I mean, that's historically big. Now, there's a difference between being delivered and offloaded. We've seen about 1 million ounces of gold leave COMEX in the last 45 days, maybe even more. But way more than that, delivered to COMEX within the eligible ecosystem. It's not for sale at this point. It's been delivered. But the point is, these people are prioritizing numbered bars instead of what's called a warrant, a piece of paper. I own it, you own it, I own it. No, I want the numbered bars, no more pieces of paper. I think that's the first step to see what used to be accomplished in a year, we're accomplishing in just a couple of months in terms of deliveries. And the deliveries, when I first started talking with you in 2020, talking about how that never happened. Deliveries never happened. It was always exchange of warrants. Less than 1% stood for delivery. And so, when you see this kind of turnover, this kind of delivery demand, that first and foremost is something that piques my interest. Another thing, of course, is guys like Warsh's Paul Winfrey hire, what's going on with Tether, all of these things. But to your point, yeah, it's still a long shot. Had Judy not said that to me, I certainly wouldn't have been running with this. And I'm just simply saying that in a world where you don't have much in the way of choices anymore, in terms of a country that has offshored its manufacturing, that is uneducated, that is broke, what are your choices? And this would give us a chance. Either that, or you end up doing what all governments have done. You monetize and you continue to inflate until the system just, in essence, breaks. Now, this would restore credibility. This would give our children a chance to go back to work and to not only lead the world with our intellectual property prowess, but to lead the world with our manufacturing prowess, which was always the best until it left. I don't know, to me, it just checks all the boxes in terms of what should happen. Will it happen? 50-50 at best, who knows?
Stay with this. You already know about Winfrey, Project 2025's Chapter 24, and how a gold convertible treasury bond would gut the long end of the bond market. Now, Andy hands you the on-the-ground evidence that the table is already being set. $45 billion in gold, delivered to COMEX in just 5 months. Over 1 million ounces physically walking out. What used to take a full year is happening in weeks, and the buyers aren't accepting paper warrants anymore. They want numbered bars in their name. That's not speculation. That's positioning. Big money is quietly preparing for a world where gold settles, not promises. The final stretch is where Andy ties the rope tight. What this delivery surge, the Winfrey hire, and the broken bond market all point to when you stack them in the right order.
Now look, I'll say it the other way. If you hold dollars, you're going to go broke. Being in this environment, they are sacrificing the dollar. In other words, when the Swiss stayed out of the European Union, I knew they had to do something. In fact, I told everyone our business was founded on Swiss investments, and when that happened, I said, you all need to buy gold right now and get out. Gold was $300 an ounce, and I switched everyone out of Swiss francs into gold. My thesis was, this was a long time ago, but they were an export nation. They sold chocolates and watches, amongst other things, to the rest of the world. And they're a tiny export nation surrounded by a bunch of countries who they sell to that were going to join this group, this European Union. If they didn't join, their currency would be way up here, much higher than the new fledgling European Union currency. And if countries had to first convert to a very expensive Swiss franc to buy chocolates or watches, they would forego the accuracy of the watches and buy them from France, or the sweetness of the chocolate and buy them from Belgium, because it just wasn't economical. So when they didn't join, I knew for a fact that they were going to quietly choose their economy over their currency and peg their currency quietly and unofficially to the euro, which they did. And I think that's kind of, I don't know, that to me, that's kind of the idea here, is that I just think that this will, this is something that I think has if it were to happen, if this were to happen, in essence, what they are doing is saving the economy at the expense of the US dollar. They are choosing the lesser of two evils. In other words, it's a soft default on the US dollar. The Swiss gave up on the strength of their currency in order to save their economy. I think we would do the same thing here. We are saving the economy, giving it a future at the expense of the US dollar, which would allow us to sell product to the world. That's what everyone's done to us, devalued their currency against ours so that their currency or their products were cheaper. At the same time, it allows us to much easier pay off the debt in a devalued dollar situation. So it's the lesser of two evils. Remember, Richard said you can inflate, you can default, or you can produce more. Well, if the only way you can produce more to get to a point of a strong currency and a strong country is to let the currency go by the wayside in terms of its value, in order to sell your manufacturing, in order to bring it back, in order to pay down the debt. And so the moral of the story is, you save in dollars, you go broke. And that, to me, is the way I would look at it more than anything. And, you know, for those converses, you own gold, yeah, you'll be wealthy in dollar terms. And in this environment, I could see stocks going to the moon too. The stocks will go up in dollar terms. Gold will go up in stock terms. In other words, measuring it against stocks, gold will go up. It will outperform the stocks because gold will sniff out the debasement of the dollar and go higher as a result. So, I don't know. I just think you want to own assets, plain and simple, in this environment. There's no way out.